The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Game Podcast Network is brought to you by our free bracket challenge. $2,000 winner take all. Enter today at sportsgamepodcast.com/bracket. And welcome, everybody, to the NBA Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Game Podcast Network. It's currently Thursday morning, March 20th, roughly 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I'm your host of the episode, Scott Reichel, joined by Lonte Smith, and together we're going to break down the Thursday NBA card. Lonte, I know that we had a couple of very competitive games yesterday. Seemed like the card was objectively close for the most part when it comes to every game besides the Sixers, who may or may not be a fake basketball team. But either way, point is there were a lot of close games. How did you enjoy the card yesterday?
Yeah, it was a decent card, man. A lot of dogs were barking yesterday, competitive games. Yeah, it was pretty decent action. Minus I had Denver for my lock, thinking that, being that Joker and Murray had sat out the previous game, they would be playing, but obviously that turned out sad. But yeah, other than that, man, some good action, decent wins for teams who need it, and yeah, I'm looking forward to breaking it down, recapping it, and breaking it down with you for tonight's action.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say the main moment of yesterday's card was the Cade game winner, obviously, against Miami, where he had that, I'd say, Kobe-esque banked 3-pointer from the top of the key, which I thought was, once again, a big moment for Cade in general. Good win for the Pistons. Yes, they trailed for most of the game, but Miami blew the fourth quarter again. What else is new? And you saw the Pistons come back and win with Cade's triple-double and the game-winning three. Besides that, Zion looked good. Ended up having 29 points, 8 rebounds as they beat the Timberwolves. Ended up seeing the Cavs lose again. Cavs had won 16 straight. Now they've lost 3 straight. So I want to ask you, though, because the Cavs are still playing for the best record in the league, what is the concern level for Cleveland? Is it just simple fatigue after going on that massive win streak, or are there kind of some underlying issues that you've noticed that you think can be a potential problem in a playoff series?
Yeah, I don't think it's anything to worry about. I think it's just, I know they've lost 3 in a row. I think this matches their longest losing streak, but outside of that, I'm not really worried. The Kings are a decent team. They were without Levine, of course, but I don't think it's anything to be concerned about. The Clipper game, they allowed 55% from the field and 48 from 3, so that was kind of an outlier game. Last night, I thought they started off okay, and then the Kings just kind of got hot late, but I don't really have a ton of concern. I think they pretty much got everything wrapped up, so they're not really playing for a ton. So I think they're just a little bit bored now, kind of like what we saw with Boston in the previous few years. So I don't think. Obviously they don't have the cliche that Boston does as far as winning the title, but I think they'll be fine. I don't think it's an issue.
Yeah, just wanted to bring it up, and we also have some big news in terms of NBA standings. Is that the Phoenix Suns in postseason basketball territory? That's where they're at right now. They won yesterday against the Bulls. Of course, the Mavericks blew a 7-point lead in the last 59 seconds, and now the Suns are officially ahead of the Mavericks, courtesy of tiebreakers. They are currently the 10 spot in the Western Conference. So as much as we made fun of Durant and Booker and everybody, rightfully so, they are technically a postseason team right now. Not a playoff team, but a play-in team. So we'll see what happens, but that was one, I'd say noteworthy development yesterday, which was the Suns technically jumping over the Mavericks for the 10 spot in the Western Conference. We'll see when Anthony Davis comes back. I know he was playing golf this past week, so we'll see when he's going to be coming back. But yeah, Dallas is running out of time. So something to keep in mind. And if Dallas does miss the playoffs entirely and the play-in entirely, do you think Nico's guaranteed to get fired this offseason?
I think they'll give him another year just to see how it works. Well, I don't know what the distance or I guess the longevity of Kyrie's injury is, but I think he'll get another year to kind of get it right, draft, free agency, and kind of get things going in a positive direction. But it's not going to be a fun off season, I can tell you that. But I think his job is safe right now.
Yeah, I feel like honestly they might potentially fire him. Separate story though. But there was one other guy I wanted to give a shout out. My boy Mamukashvili, who set the all-time record for the fewest NBA minutes in a game to score 30-plus points. So shout out to Mamukashvili, who I've been calling for to get more minutes for 3 years on the show, and he had one of the most efficient NBA games of all time yesterday, so it feels pretty good being in that corner. Sorry for the Knicks, though, of course, because it came at their expense, but point is nice win for San Antonio. Knicks kind of just no-showed the game, if we're being honest, but either way.
Total over.
Yeah, definitely a no showing by them. Good job of Mukashvili, though, and we'll see once again what the Spurs do moving forward. Maybe he'll play more. Who knows? But, yeah, I have nothing else to add. The Lakers beat the Nuggets. You mentioned before that Denver sat some guys, so I don't really care that much. A good win for L.A. And Yeah, I got nothing else. Good win for Portland, which might not matter long term, but Avdia had 31, 16, and 8.
He was great.
I think he's easily their best player, and I've said this many
He
times.
was
I'm
great.
assuming you agree with me on this.
Kind of. I would probably go Sharp.
Okay. I mean,
higher upside, but
yeah.
I get which. But as far as right now, yes, Avdia. But just like who I would want, like in a game to win, I want Shaden Sharp. I think Shaden Sharp's upside is like.
I can agree with you about the upside. Maybe I'm kind of just comparing Simons with Sharp in a sense where the volume is prevalent and it can get very ugly very quickly if they don't have their shot going. And I think what I like about Avdia is the fact that he can, one, get to the line constantly, which I appreciate. But two, he's also just good at other stuff. I like the fact that he can rebound. He's an underrated facilitator. I think Simons and Sharp, once again, it's a bit trickier because he comes off the bench more often than not. I just feel like his game is so scoring dependent that I question if his other stuff, is up to par at this point. He's still young. He'll figure it out. But Avdia can have a good game while only dropping 13 points. I cannot say the same thing about Sharp and Simons. That's kind of my problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's got a higher floor than the both of those because they're more offensively dependent. So I can agree with that.
But the point is, I think Avdia is really good, and the Wizards got rid of him for scraps.
Yeah,
so
he is. Yeah.
That's kind of my point. But either way, a point is definitely a great game by him. And that's going to wrap it up for the recap of what happened on Wednesday. Now it's time to get into the preview for the games on Thursday. For that, to remember once again that we do have a great promo going on with SGPN. The clock's ticking. I think you got about 51 more minutes to actually sign up for this. Compete against SGPN this March in our $75K winner-take-all college basketball survivor contest. March has never been this exciting. I enter at splashsports.com/SGPN. I already entered it, so if you want to compete against me, you know where to find me. That's splashsports.com/SGPN, plus use promo code FINALS for a $10 bonus credit. Anyway, time to get into the actual card for the Thursday slate. Apologies, by the way, my voice is totally shot, but that's what happens when you and the SGPN crew in Vegas are yelling at the TV for Xavier to come back, and Xavier did. So, point is, my voice is kind of gone. We're going to make the most of it, so apologies there. Starting off with the first game, what a fun game. You have the Knicks against the Hornets. Who could ask for more? Knicks are laying 7.5 here on a back-to-back. Hornets, of course, did end up punting the last game because LaMelo and Bridges both did not play. According to the injury report, does seem like both guys should be back in action for this one. So Charlotte might be a potential threat, a legitimate threat in this game because they do have their best two guys back in the lineup. For the Knicks, I don't see anybody listed besides Brunson, who's still out, and you have Robinson, who's questionable. For Charlotte, I said before, LaMelo and Bridges are expected to play. You have Diabate, you have Garrett, who are questionable, you have Okogie, and that's basically it, who's going to be out for this game. So I'm going to ask you, Knicks on a back-to-back off a really bad showing in San Antonio. However, the Hornets, I can't use the last game because they punted it against Atlanta. So I'm going to ask you, do you want to lay 7.5 with the Knicks on a back-to-back? Because on one hand, Thibodeau's not going to stand for that effort, and that should be a good get-up spot for the Knicks. On the other hand, it's still a back-to-back, and Charlotte could be feisty anyway with scoring upside. I'm going to go Charlotte plus the points. But I'm going to ask you what you're going to go with for this one.
Yeah, I would go with Charlotte plus the points as well. It would be a little bit more confident if the Knicks, kind of have played a lot better. But I am worried that they'll be, laser locked in for this game, even on a back-to-back. But I like the under even more. I mean, the Hornets have been notoriously an under team throughout the year. I think like 70% of their home games have went under, 60% under when they're a dog. They get, as long as Bridges and Ball are on the court, I think they'll be fine. I mean, their offense has been really bad, like one of the bottom 5 offenses in the league. The Knicks without Brunson, I mean, they perform well against bad defenses, and they didn't perform well yesterday, which is kind of my handicap for the team total. But Hornets defense is decent. It's right around league average to above average. So I think they'll be able to continue here. Short bench on a back-to-back obviously does not favor the Knicks. I think the Hornets can hang around, so I'll take the 7.5, but I like the under as well. I might just split a unit on the first half under also.
All right, I think I'm going to pass on the total personally. I think it's just Hornets or pass, in my opinion. I think Charlotte could win this game. It wouldn't shock me if you ended up seeing Bridges go for 30 again. LaMelo has like maybe a 25-10 game, and the Hornets find a way. So I'm going to go Hornets plus the points. The total, honestly, I really have a hard time picking because Charlotte is so bad on occasion defensively that they can just hand out 120 to anybody. So I'm going to pass on the total, but I am going to go with the Hornets as well for this one. I see, according to True, he's saying that the Knicks don't really have a point guard right now, so he can't see Charlotte money line. McBride's in a weird spot where I think he's fine as like a fill-in guy, but of course you normally would not want him starting on your team. You'd want him to be a sixth man. So you're kind of having to address some offensive issues because of everything Brunson does offensively in terms of shot creation, free throw creation, or even just getting guys wide open looks in pick and roll with Towns. So McBride, I think, is done okay filling in, but it's a pretty high bar when you're filling in for Brunson, who can drop 35 on a given night, and he's going to win Clutch Player of the Year. So it's pretty tough, to try to find a fill-in guy for that. But yeah, I do agree. I think Charlotte can definitely get the job done if they have a better late-game offense compared to the Knicks, who might get a bit stagnant. We'll see what happens there. Anyway, moving on to the next game. You have the Nets taking on the Pacers. You have the Nets, who are getting 8.5. You have the over-under at 223.5. For the injury report, for this one, of course, Cam Thomas out for the year for the Nets. You have Cam Johnson, who's out as well. For the Pacers, Halliburton's a maybe, and that is it for now. Now, Indiana ended up, they played yesterday, had the crazy comeback against Dallas in a game they should have lost, but Dallas saw what the Sixers did against the Rockets 2 days ago, choking away that game, and said, hold my beer, because we're going to blow a 7-point lead in 59 seconds. And Indiana said, great, I'm looking forward to it. And Indiana came back and they won the game. I do want to ask you, on a back-to-back after a game that was that high scoring, where you were on the verge of losing to a Mavericks team in complete free fall, do you want to lay 8.5 with Indiana? Because the Nets are missing two of their best three scorers on the team with no Cam Thomas and no Cam Johnson.
Yeah, not really. I thought the Pacers were in a good spot yesterday, even without Halliburton. I thought that matchup kind of dictated what they wanted to do, and it started out they were okay, and then Dallas kind of came on a little bit later than what I wanted it to.
They couldn't get a defensive stop. That was basically what happened.
And then even without Halliburton, I thought they were still primed to cover that number. But in this spot, it's kind of the Nets don't really score a ton, and they got like you said, two of their top three scorers are out. But the Pacers' defense has been horrible. I mean, I think they've allowed 125 plus in 3 straight. So something has to give. Yeah. In the 2 previous matchups, they played a low-scoring game, which the Nets won, and they played a little bit of a high-scoring game. Well, I wouldn't say high-scoring game. I would say the Pacers had a good offensive game because the Nets scored 99 in both of those matchups. So I think the Nets maybe can slow the game down here. Pacers on a back-to-back, but they have depth. So that's my issue. Like, back-to-backs don't generally hurt teams with the kind of depth that the Pacers have. And if you insert Halliburton being back into the lineup, then that just, supersedes anything because he'll be fresher. I think he hasn't played in, 2 or 3 games. So I think that this is going to be prime for an under. I'm going to take the points with the Nets. I think the Nets can slow the game down, make it ugly, force the Pacers to play at their pace, no pun intended. So, give me the Nets plus the points. I like the under also.
Yeah, so I know you mentioned before the Pacers do have a deep roster, so they should not be as impacted. This team has been by back-to-backs for the last couple of years. They've been awful on back-to-backs. You're looking at this year, they're 2-8-1 ATS on back-to-backs. Now, last year, if you want to throw that in too, Indiana last year was 3-10. They're the worst ATS team in the entire league last year on a back-to-back. So this team for years has been really bad in this situation. And yes, I understand that they had a nice win in the end based on, getting the job done, but you didn't look good defensively against a really bad Mavericks team that might miss the play-in right now because Phoenix surpassed them based on tie breaks at the moment. But when Indiana is the worst ATS team on back-to-backs last year, and their bottom 3 ATS this year in the same situation on back-to-backs, I don't want to lay 8.5 with you. So based on your form in back-to-backs over the years and based on the Nets being feisty, maybe not winning games, but at least being competitive. They gave Boston all they could handle. I know Tatum didn't play and Brown didn't play. Shout out to the Nets, though. They helped me cash my Celtics 1-10 play at plus 255 as my dog. But the point is, I do think it's a lot of points for Indiana, who've been really bad in the spot in the past. Give me the Nets to hang in there. I don't mind Indiana 1-10. I think the Nets will lose the game, but I think that Indiana wins by like 5. I think that's kind of where I'm at, and maybe similar to a Pistons Heat game from yesterday, where the favorite wins the game but doesn't really do enough by covering. So I am going to go with the Nets plus the points in this one. Don't mind Pacers 1-10, though. So that's kind of my thoughts on that one. You have anything else you want to add for that game?
No, I think we covered it all.
Cool. So before we get into the other games on the card, want to once again that we are brought to you by DraftKings, because when it comes to college basketball and March Mania, one thing is for sure, nothing is for sure. Upsets, buzzer beaters, Cinderella's advancing, top seeds going home early. It's all going to happen, and you can bet the unexpected every upset every day with DraftKings Sportsbook. With live betting, with exclusive content, promos, and parlays, DraftKings is the ultimate college basketball destination for March. First time, here's something special for you. New customers will get $200 bonus bets when they bet for just $5. Bet the unexpected. DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Use code SGP. It's code SGP for new customers to get $200 bonus. This is only when you bet just $5. Only DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPENY or text HOPENY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Apologies if you ended up missing the party yesterday for Rhythm. It was a lot of fun, but we have good news. They're still doing a giveaway for a future for March Madness, $250 future bet for a lucky Rhythm user. So a reminder that if you can't make the party, that's fine. You can still be entered into the random drawing. Free party, which hopefully you ended up enjoying if you were able to attend, plus a chance at a $250 future bet when you sign up with Rhythm. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/party for details. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Finished breaking down the first couple games on the Thursday card. Now it's time to move on into the next game. So we're going to move into the matchup between the Raptors and the Warriors. The biggest favorite on the card, Warriors are laying 13.5. Toronto may or may not be accelerating the tank. We'll see what happens over the next couple days. But damn, they punted away a couple games lately. Either way, the point is Golden State had a pretty weird week where they lost using everybody to Denver. Then they benched Curry and they beat Milwaukee. So kind of a weird week in general, but point is it's been a successful week for Golden State nonetheless. Now for the injury report, Curry's back in the lineup. Gary Payton II's questionable. That's it. Everyone else is healthy. For Toronto, you have no Barrett, you have no Dick, you have no Ingram, and you have no Walter. We'll see if they add anybody at the last minute. We'll see if they bench anybody halfway through the game. Might be some weird shenanigans going on for Toronto. They might have borrowed that from the Utah Jazz playbook. But I want to ask you for this game, I really can't take Toronto. Like, I want to make an argument for it, but I do think based on the last couple games, they have really been manipulating minutes, and they've been manipulating rotations to, let's just say, encourage an ass-kicking at their own expense. I'm going Golden State in this one. I think Golden State with Curry back is going to look comfortable here, and I really think Toronto realizes we're not going to catch Chicago. What are we doing? We might as well start losing games. So give me Golden State minus 13.5 at home.
Yeah, that would be the layout. I mean, that would be the way I would play it as well. I would look at Golden State like first quarter, first half. Like the over the season numbers would tell you that the Raptors should be a good bit here, but again, like you mentioned, they're kind of like playing with those lineups. The Warriors, like, really, that was one of the weirdest weeks I've seen them like have, which is like in the gambling space as far as going from like favorite to big favorite, from small favorite to big favorite, and then going from like favorite to dog. Like, it's just all over the place. But I don't think they have incentive to kind of run up the score. If not, I mean, they probably can get up, 10-11 late and just sit or maybe 15-16 and just sit everybody, and then Raptors bench make a run. So I can kind of see that. But I can also see them winning by 25-30. So stay away from me. I would look at Warriors first quarter, first half, maybe a Warriors first half team total over as well.
Yeah, I am partially thinking of if I want to actually go for a Draymond steals and blocks play, because his number's at 2.5. It is minus 145. So you might be able to find a 3.5 if you shop around for an ultra line. He's had at least 6 in each of the last 2 games, and he stated publicly he's trying to win Player of the Year defensively. He's trying to win Defensive Player of the Year. So there is a chance Draymond just goes on a crazy stat padding, just bender for defensive stats. So something to keep in mind if you want to go for Draymond. Steals and blocks. It is minus 145 or 2.5. I don't hate it, though. He had 3 in the meeting last year. So if you want to make an argument that Draymond could have a solid defensive game, I don't hate it. Maybe Butler has a solid rebounds and assist game. I know with Steph being out, I think he had, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, or 8 rebounds, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, something like that. But Draymond could have a solid defensive game if we do think that he's going to actually make a push for Defensive Player of the Year. Anyway, for this game, we'll go with the under as well. I think Toronto's going to struggle scoring, and I do think that Golden State might call off the Dogs if things get, I'd say, ugly early. So I'll go with the under, but I prefer Golden State on the spread for this one. Moving on to the next game, you have the Bulls against the Kings in the what could be DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine revenge game. I don't even know anymore. For the injury report for this game, LaVine's a maybe, you have Ravia, who's a maybe, and Sabonis is out. As for the Bulls, you have Lonzo, who is out. Now, for the actual spread, Kings are laying 6.5. Over-unders at 233.5. Bulls did lose yesterday to the Suns in a pretty high-scoring game. For the actual Kings, they ended up beating Cleveland. So you could argue it's a pretty decent letdown spot for Sacramento. What do you like in this game? Because I feel like even though Sacramento just beat the Cavs, I don't want to lay 6.5. I think it's going to be Bulls plus the points for me.
Yeah, I like Bulls. I like over both teams on back-to-back. Not a ton of travel, obviously, with the Bulls from Phoenix to Sacramento. I mean, that's not a crazy trip. So I don't think that's an issue here. The Kings letdown spot again. DeRozan, LaVine was a late scratch. Was that yesterday? I thought that was pretty weird because I had him penciled in to have a pretty big game against Cleveland, but I'm interested to see how many minutes he plays or what kind of injury was it. I didn't really see it on the injury report.
And they won anyway.
Yes, and they did. And the Bulls, man, they were in it early. They kind of got away from them. I think they were down 13 or 14 mid third quarter, and they kind of fought back. And they got to push a win if you got a better number late. But I mean, the Bulls have been feisty all since the All-Star break. They've been really good. So credit to Billy Donovan for that. I think me and Real talked about it yesterday. I like them as a dog. They're feisty. They got Giddy back, if I'm not mistaken.
They did.
Yeah, so I think they can hang in here. I think they can win this outright, man. So give me the Bulls plus 6.5. I like the over as well. I think both teams will, of course, be more than reluctant to allow three-pointers. They'll allow attacks at the rim. The Bulls should be able to get downhill. Kings have the worst three-point defense in the league. So look for some Kobe White three-point makes props. I'll probably ladder him up. But, yeah, I think we see a ton of points. Both teams get to 120 here.
Yeah, for reference, by the way, faced off one time in January. Game did land 243. That was the only head-to-head meeting this season. You want to point out, by the way, that it is a Kevin Huerter revenge game, according to JT. Problem is, I can't stand betting on Kevin Huerter, so that's going to be I'm rooting for you. I'll put it that way, because he's on my list, along with Gobert and Bam Adebayo, of guys that I will just not bet on.
Great game last night from Bam.
I know, because I didn't bet on him. In fact, I bet on the Pistons instead, so he came back to spite me. But either way, point is that I will not be betting on Kevin Huerter tonight, but you are right. It is a revenge game, so something to keep in mind. But then again, you can make the argument, is it a revenge game if the team you join makes postseason basketball and the team that traded you does not get postseason basketball? Is that a revenge spot, or do you thank them for trading you? I don't know. So something to keep in mind. But either way, point is definitely should be a pretty entertaining game nonetheless. I agree with you, though, about the Bulls and the over for that game. Moving on to the last game on the card, the game of the night. We don't know which Bucks team we're going to get because they can lose to Golden State without their best player, or they can potentially show up and keep the game very competitive, but who knows? Either way, they're against the Lakers. Bucks are favored in this one. They're favored by 3.5. The over-under for this game is set at around 226.5. For the injury report, you have what could be a doozy. You have Lillard and Giannis, who are probable. You have Gary Trent is probable as well. Porter's still suspended. Jericho Sims is still out. For the Lakers, are on a back-to-back. They dominated last game, so we'll see what happens. But Luka right now is probable. You have Hachimura and Jamison, who are both questionable, and Kleber still out indefinitely. So for this game, I understand why the Bucks are favored by 3.5. We saw them kill this Lakers team about a week ago by, about 30. And Luka had the most meaningless 45-point game of all time. But I want to ask you, for the sake of this matchup, do you like the Lakers in the rematch, or are you picking the Bucks to get the job done again? Because this Bucks team has been a serious pain in the ass to actually handicap for the past week, because they are an insane Jekyll and Hyde team who sometimes show up, sometimes don't, and you get really annoyed by them very quickly. So I'm going to ask which side of the coin you want to be on for this one.
Yeah, I think the Bucks are going to steamroll here because the matchup is perfect for them. Giannis can get downhill at ease. They don't have any rim protection, obviously, so he should be able to stay in the paint. I would look at Giannis points and rebounds to go over as well. He should be able to grab 15, 16 rebounds pretty easily. And I would go with like 25 to 30 points. I just think the Lakers don't match up well with the Bucks and what they like to do. Obviously, the Lakers on a back-to-back kind of helps that. They didn't expend a ton of energy last night, but they played against kind of like a G League squad, or I say a little bit above G League squad because Aaron Gordon did play and Russ did play. So they didn't extend a lot of energy. Bucks on a day off. They were in California, so no travel at all. Being that they played the Warriors a few nights ago. And I think they come out with a bad taste in their mouth for what happened in that game. I mean, they were embarrassed. That was embarrassing to lose that type of game. So I think the Bucks come in. I think they steamroll the Lakers. Probably going to be my lock of the day. It's going to be the Bucks.
I mean, they didn't even get to 100.
Like, yeah, that's disgusting. That's disgusting.
It was rough. But either way, I'll go with the Bucks too, but there's no chance I lock this game up, by the way. I can't. I hate this Milwaukee team so much. But the point is, I think it's a good spot for them. I think it's a good matchup for them as well. So I think Giannis probably dominates this game, which is why I am going to go with the Bucks. But I hate the way this team's coached, man. This team is coached so poorly late in games, and maybe that's a Doc Rivers special. But you get what I'm saying, though. I mean, we recognize the flaws of this team. Like, it's just I can't stand this team, but I do think it's a good spot for them in this case. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for the final game of the card. Want to remind you once again, though, before the Lock and Dog picks, we are brought to you by our sponsor, Underdog, because Underdog Fantasy has a great way of helping you make some money. Underdog Pick'em can help you play on any, once again, make a play on any sport, win up to 100 times your money, whether it involves the NBA, college basketball, whether it involves tennis even. You have a lot of different options. Baseball, if you wanted to look for something in the Japan series that happened, or if you want to wait for the other regular season games to start, you can use Underdog for that too. But a reminder though, when you do sign up for your new account, use the promo code SGPN to go on special for the first time $1,000 for one game bonus cash on fantasy promo code NBA SGPN. We're also brought to you by Edge Boost, because Edge Boost is the premier debit card for bettors. They also allow the ability to avoid being hassled by the sportsbook, the DFS site, or other sites as well by having your card denied. It will not happen with this card. And you can also earn cashback rewards, $70 per month in cashback rewards by using the Edge Boost card. Your money is also saved. Cards FDIC insured, and best part, there are no credit checks, and it's completely free. Sign up for Edge Boost and enter our $2,000 free bracket contest at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/bracket. Welcome back, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast. Finished breaking down every game for the Thursday card. Now it's time for the Lock and Dog picks. Lonte, you really ruined the cliffhanger, but what is going to be your lock for the podcast?
Yeah, I did. So we're going to go back-to-back with the games that we talked about in reverse order. So I like the Bucks. I like the spot for them. I like the matchup. I think they come out fired up. I would play them first quarter as well. First quarter, first half, full game, so we could just get the full trifecta. It's a possibility that Luka may sit. We've seen him sit on these kind of back-to-backs. But again, wasn't a ton of energy extended last night. So I do expect the Lakers to be competitive in the middle of the game and then kind of let go of the rope as it goes on. I think Giannis has a big night. Dame also should have a big night being back in California. So I like the Bucks, and for the dog, I'm going with the Bulls. I think we both like the Bulls. I think the number probably would have been closer to like 3.5, 4, if the Kings didn't look so good last night. Now, granted, if Levine plays, maybe it goes up a little bit, so you might want to just monitor that. But I think 6.5 and on the money line is a good play for the Bulls. I mean, they've been competitive ever since the All-Star break, playing really hard. Giddey's back. He's missed 3 or 4 games in between that time frame, but they still kind of held on to the fort. So I like the Bulls to win it outright in Sacramento.
Yeah, by the way, for reference, the Bulls money line's plus 230.
Love it.
On DraftKings. So there you go. For the lock on the show, what do I want to go with here? You know what? I think I am going to go with a prop in that Bulls game. I'm going to bet Kobe White, actually. I'm going to go with Kobe White over 26.5 points and rebounds. Yes, I know Giddey's back, which could impact the rebounds, but he's been great anyway. White has recorded at least 29 points and rebounds in 9 of the last 10. He's been rolling lately, and even with Giddey back, he's actually done pretty well with this category too. So with Giddey being back in the lineup, White is still going over this number in 5 of the last 6 games he's played. Against the Kings, he had at least 32 in each of the last 2 meetings in the head-to-head. In fact, in the last game, which was last year back in March, he had 42 points and rebounds. He had 37 points against this team. So the point is, I don't think the Kings can actually guard him, and I do think that Giddey, even though he is a scorer, I wonder how many minutes he's going to play after, coming back from injury. But White's been great lately, and I do think it's a good matchup for him. So give me Kobe White on his over 26.5 points and rebounds at -114 as my lock. For my dog, I think I am going to go and take the Nets to hang in there in this game. But I think the Nets will eventually punt the game late. But Indiana, I mentioned before, is one of the worst ATS teams on back-to-backs for the last couple of years at this point. So for this one, I am going to go with the Pacers 1-10 win margin for this one. Give me the Pacers to sneak out a victory, but look really underwhelming in the process. And you can find that price available at around +220. So I'll go with that. I've been good at the 1-10 win margins. Had the Boston win against the Nets last week. I'll run it back with the Nets. Give me a Nets team that keeps it close and loses. Give me the Pacers 1-10 at +220 as my dog. Anyway, time for the underdog lineup for the actual card here on Thursday. Lonte, I'm going to start off with you because I do like Kobe White with the points and rebounds. I'm probably going to just recycle that into this one. You have any thoughts for any guys you're targeting for this one?
Yeah, I like Giannis points and rebounds higher. I also like Kobe White's threes.
Yep.
But I mean, I know we just don't want to make it like that. But yeah, so Giannis is probably my favorite, his points and rebounds. Another one would probably be LaMelo PRA.
Okay, by the way, just to go in order here, Giannis, his PRA is at 40.5.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, 25, or 28 and 15, I think.
Wait, sorry, you're saying PRA or PR?
No, PR, just PR.
Okay, so PR you can find available at, I believe it was at 40.5.
Yeah.
It is 40.5, so I don't know if you want it or not.
Yeah, higher, yep.
Okay, so we'll go with the higher 40.5 for Giannis PR, and then we have one more that we need.
You said you like Kobe White. Who else?
Well, Kobe White was the first one that I took.
Yeah.
So.
Who else do we like? Let's see. What about? Dang, I can't think of anybody else.
I mean, do you want to go Bridges? You want to back Bridges to have a good game?
Yeah, I'd rather have LaMelo though. PRA.
If you wanted to, we can do Mark Williams double-double.
I like that. Let's do Mark Williams. Yeah.
Okay. So Mark Williams double-double. We're going to throw in there too. For reference, Williams has had a double-double quite frequently, and we know that he's a very solid rebounder. So looking at his actual numbers, he has had a double-double in three of the last four. So I do think it's a good spot too. So once again, the underdog lineup is going to be Kobe White higher, 26.5 points and rebounds. We're going to go with Giannis higher, 40.5 points and rebounds, and we'll go with Mark Williams double-double as our three options there. Anyway, let's wrap it up for the actual card on Thursday. I know Lonte will be back tomorrow with Terrell. Hopefully my voice is back. We don't know. Probably not, to be honest, because I'm headed to Westgate to drink. So it's probably not a good sign for my voice. But either way, Lonte, anything else you want to add before we officially wrap up the show?
That's about it, man. Hope you enjoy Vegas, man. I know it's great out there with those guys, especially.
Yep, should be fun. Go High Point. Until next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.